The Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
My. Woo-hoo-hoo. Friday. Welcome into the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. How are you feeling today on a Friday? Let me kick it up a notch. Here we go. High school football all around the state of Mississippi tonight. Hallelujah. We've got great games. Be careful on the road. Also, if you are a Bulldog, be safe on the road. If you're traveling tonight, spend the night going to Stark Vegas for the Wildcats of Arizona. If you're a Rebel traveling to New Orleans, going down to watch Ole Miss whip up on Tulane, that's kind of what I think will happen. Or if you're a Golden Eagle headed to Tallahassee, Seminole Country, wherever you're going, be careful. But if you're on the way right now, roll the windows down, turn it up to 11, and see who looks at you. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do for the next 2 hours, talking out the side of my neck. Get your comments in here on the Murray West live thread. If you're on the live stream, text the show to Country Pleasing text line or call me. Love to hear your voice. Here we go. Woo! Good gracious alive. If that won't light your fire, your wood's wet. That is the way to get it going. And yes, okay, let's just start right there. Let's start right there with that first text that I just got on the Country Pleasing text line. Whoever this is, it's an unnamed texter, said, Matt, how about this weather? Ooh, my heavens. I'm telling you, and it has changed around some, for the last couple of weeks. You go back to last week, you had the forecast during the week we were looking forward to coming out of that heat wave that was just unbearable for a couple of weeks. And then leading into the first weekend of college football last weekend, we couldn't believe it. We were going to get high temperatures in the 80s. We just couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm not kidding you. A season opener at Davis Wade that kicked off at 3 p.m., and I barely sweated. It's just the truth. I couldn't believe it. But the forecast then for this week sort of changed, because if you go back 10 days and prior, they were saying, oh, another heat wave's coming. Wrong. Hey, Beaver, how you like that reference? Wrong.
I like it a lot. I always like a Dr. Cox reference.
You're wrong. Beaver, how are you liking this weather, man?
Well, you know what? It's extra special good today because it's currently 86 here.
Good.
And why is it extra special good? Because on the way here, the air conditioner in the car, it's not my car I'm actually in. So I'm in a different car today, but that air conditioner is out. So
wow.
It's only 86 though, so it didn't get too bad in there on the way to work. I just went windows down and
it's old. Okay. It felt like it was old school, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Beaver, welcome to my world. I still haven't gotten my air conditioner fixed. My deal, people are like, why don't you take it and at least find out what it would take to get it fixed? Well, here's my point. If I can't afford to get it fixed regardless, what's the point of that exercise? Really? Oh, it would take that to get it. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Still going to drive it like it is for a few weeks. But I did the same thing. I was out driving around this morning, Beaver, with the windows down, and it felt like AC. Like I could have ridden around in North Mississippi with the windows up, and it'd have been fine. Currently, in my hometown, Beaver, of Tupelo, Mississippi, it's 81 degrees. It was 61 degrees this morning at like 6:30 a.m. And then the forecast tomorrow. So whatever the forecast is here, same thing in Starkville, same thing, in this part of the state. Tomorrow, high of 85, low of 64, and not even a blip chance of rain. People who go and tailgate tomorrow are going to love it. Now, I'm sure for the Ole Miss fans that are going to New Orleans, it's going to be hotter, warmer down there. Let me look it up for you. When I say hotter, warmer, it's just right. It's further south. It's going to be hotter. It's going to be more humid than it is here. Let's see what it says. It's taking a minute to pull it up. Calculating. Yeah, so like today in New Orleans, it's 89 degrees with a high of 93 and a low of 77. So it's not getting down nearly as cool. So it's going to be good and hot for the Ole Miss Tulane game tomorrow. What is it, 11 a.m. game? I'll look it up. Anyway, 92 is the high tomorrow in New Orleans. 75 is the low. 15% chance of some showers, so you could get some. So it'll be a little bit warmer there for their ball game. Kind of the same thing, Tallahassee, Florida, but we're lucky around here, man. Great football weather. Tonight, people who go to high school football games tonight are going to absolutely love it. You might even be tempted to drink coffee at the game. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. I can't tell them what to do. But my opinion is that every high school concession stand in the state of Mississippi ought to be serving High Point Roasters coffee, roasted right here in the great state of Mississippi. And if you're watching the live stream, you may notice here that I have found my High Point Roasters Yeti cup. It's bright red. I had misplaced it, got to looking for it, found it. So I'm a happy man, drinking hot coffee out of a High Point Roasters Yeti. I sure am. Speaking of the live stream, hey to y'all on Facebook and on YouTube and Twitter if you're looking at the live stream. And if you're on those, you can type in a comment or question, whatever, and hit comment or post or whatever it is, submit, click here, and it'll pop up on the Murray West live thread. Murray West, MW, Murray West, go to murraywest.com. That's MURRY, murraywest.com. Contract embroidery company that started in 1996 in New Albany, Mississippi, and have grown, and they do a big business and do a lot for big companies and small and medium size in between in terms of orders and everything else. So if you have a custom apparel need, you need to put a logo, kind of like, let's say, for example, this quarter zip pullover that I'm wearing from the Mississippi State University golf course that happens to have embroidered on it the interlocking MSU logo from the 1990s football team at State that they're going to bust out at the throwback uniform this year. Something like this, you want to put a logo like this on it? There you go. Your business, your brand, your company, your church, whatever it is, embroidered, printed, go there. murraywest.com. Follow them on Instagram if you haven't already. It's at Murray West Official. Yeah, so on the Murray West live thread, Sven says, Hail State, everyone. Guess what? Tomorrow we are 2-0. Woody will already have 250 yards running in the books after 2 games. His final score prediction is 45-17 Mississippi State. Well, Sven, I will say this. If State wins that game 45-17, there'll be a lot of happy folks. It'll be a very good sign. I think Arizona's a little better than that. We'll see. We'll see if you're right. Will commented on the live thread, said, Hail State all. Our last game ever against the Pac-12. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, because next year when you play, as he points out, next year when you play Arizona State, they're going to be in the Big 12. He says, let's whip the Wildcats. Sven got what he wanted, which is a little sonic boom. Same thing for Will to start the show. Ron commented, said, hotty toddy, Hail State to the top, and thee I love. So he's rooting for everybody. Jackson State's got a big game tomorrow at Southern in Baton Rouge. Yep. So it is a big weekend all the way around here. Big games all the way around here. Larry said, you just said wet wood. No, I said if that won't light your fire, your wood's wet. That's what I said. Matthew checking in. He says, Hail State from where? I can't say. Matthew, look, there might be a typo there, but it says you're headed to Oklahoma with it. Oh, it got a load of turkey meat, but I can't see where it's coming from. But regardless, be careful on the road, and thanks for listening in the truck right there. Will commented on the Murray West live thread, said Weather Channel's website is predicting 81 degrees Fahrenheit at 6 p.m. in Starkville tomorrow. That would be at kickoff. Should be 72 by 9 p.m. Going to be a gorgeous day. Yeah, it certainly is. And anytime the humidity goes down a little bit, then it starts to really feel good outside, right? Especially coming off of the kind of heat that we've experienced here lately. Okay, here's the update. He said, Matthew said that he is in, is it Vincennes, Indiana? Or am I pronouncing it correctly? Vincennes, Indiana, loading turkey meat for bars in Clinton, Oklahoma for tomorrow. Have a great show, and I appreciate that very much, Matthew. Thanks for listening in and tuning in. Larry commented. He said, I'm amazed that there are so many people in the Jackson metro area that don't know you can buy Country Pleasin' by the case in Florence at the company store. It's the best sausage ever. Yes, that's right. And so if you're in the metro, you're not that far, right? You just go to Florence, go to Country Meat Packers on Highway 49, go in there, and most likely you're going to come out of there with stuff other than just the case of sausage. You'll get that, or you'll load up a whole box of different flavors, but you're going to come out with something else too, because they have all kinds of stuff there at Country Meat Packers, Highway 49, Florence. All right, here's what we'll do. What was it Willy Wonka said? So little to do, so much time. No, strike that, reverse it. We have a lot of ground to cover, and we've got a couple hours to do it. And we're 10 minutes short now because I've been yapping for 10 minutes, but that's okay. We'll take a look at games. I've studied Arizona a little bit, and I know we talked about that earlier in the week. So feel free to get on in here if you've got a question, comment, whatever about any of those games. It's a Friday free-for-all show, so anything goes today you want to get into, let's just do it. I want to talk a little bit about Tulane. I know this big game, it's a ranked team, and Ole Miss is too, so it's a top 25 game in New Orleans tomorrow. I watched Tulane a little bit, their first game of the year, which was against South Alabama, and I got some thoughts on them. And so we'll have a chance to kind of talk about that. Of course, last night, Chiefs taking on the chin. Bad if you're a Chiefs fan. It's great if you're a Lions fan. 21-20, like a pretty good ball game. And the Chiefs really made the plays, it seemed like, to win the game, but guys didn't catch the football. And, the Lions took advantage of it. So heck of a way to start off the NFL season, too. So any reaction to that? You got high school football tonight. So just get on in here and we'll go with it. So feel free, text me on the Country Pleasin' text line, that number, 885-3776. That's a 601 number, 885-3776. Another way to remember it is 885-ESPN. Now, also, you can call the show. That way I get to hear your voice. So call me today. Anything you want to talk about, it's fine with me. 995-1059. That's the number to call the show. That is the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. They're the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S., in fact. It means they've been doing it better longer than anyone else right here at home at Davini. 995-1059. All right. Text messages. Let's see what we got. More bully text to show from the swimming pool. He says boiling me some goobers for game day. So for those that don't know, that's peanuts. He's going to have some boiled peanuts. And a boy more bully. Hot sauce or no? J-Rock texts the show and says, hey, Matt, I've got some friends visiting from out of state. Going to watch the Saints Sunday, and I'm cooking red beans and rice, and you know what I'm good with? A whole bunch of Country Pleasin' sausage, Hail State and Houdat. Yep, try it. And J-Rock, I'm telling you, if you can get a hold of it, if you haven't already, if you can, between now and the time you make that, get that crawfish and pork flavor Country Pleasin' sausage and use that. And thank me later. Hog Jowl texts the show. What's up? Go Hogs. Who's Arkansas got tomorrow? I'm going to have to look that one up. I should know who everybody's playing by now, but we'll preview the schedule coming up. Who's Arkansas got? Arkansas plays Kent State. They're hosting Kent State tomorrow. Hog Jowl texts the show and says, The wife and I had a blast at the Train concert last night. Train and Parmalee both put on great shows. I have no idea what any of that is, Hogjow. I don't have one clue who you're talking about. He said, loading up now for Fayetteville in a few minutes and root the Hogs to victory. Have a great weekend. Well, you too, Hogjow. Thanks, and I hope you'll be safe on the road, and I think you'll get to, holler and scream for as many KJ Jefferson touchdowns as they want you to scream for tomorrow against that Kent State team. So good to hear from you. More texts coming up from Tygan, Jeremy, and Jason, everybody, and a whole bunch of comments on the live stream, the Murray West live thread. That's coming up. Right now, though, flip it over. The Davini Equipment phone line. Got a call from Zach on line 1. What's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up, Matt? How you doing today?
Just right. Thanks for calling.
Hey, look, you figure Will's going to have a pretty big day tomorrow against Arizona.
Yeah.
That defense hadn't really impressed me in a couple of years.
Yeah, you're talking about Arizona's defense, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think you will. I think, I'm to the point where I just kind of expect Will to be solid every week. You know what I mean? I've just seen it so many times. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. He gets the ball to where it's supposed to go. I expect him to be solid. I do think with the identity and the way they've built the offense for State to win it, they've got to be successful running the ball. And to me, Zach, and I know you didn't ask this, but I'll take it one step further. To me, how the run game goes is going to greatly affect Will Rogers because the pass game is built off of it. And you have to remember, Arizona thinks they are much better in the run defense category. They were really bad at run defense last year. They gave up 200 yards a game. They were small in their front seven, so they went and brought in like 6 or 7 transfers from other D1 schools, Michigan, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, Indiana, and put them all in their defensive line and a couple of linebackers just to, if nothing else, just improve their beef up there. So they are expecting to be a better run defense. We are expecting to be a better run offense. So tomorrow night, something's got to give.
That's right. Well, look, one more thing, man. I'm gonna hang up and let you answer me. Do you think we might get to see a little bit of Mike Wright tomorrow?
I guarantee you will.
Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Zach. Yeah, I guarantee you'll see him. And, I think week to week, the game plan stuff will have little tweaks in it week to week, the stuff we didn't see the week before or something that might be new. Just keep in mind, Zach, we didn't see Mike Wright throw a single ball in the game last week. He's going to raise up and throw it at some point, and when they do, it'll be by design to have somebody open, based on people defending your run. So, yeah, you're going to see them both for sure. Good call. Appreciate it, Zach. Don't be a stranger. Call me anytime. All right, over to the country pleasing text line. Tyga says, good day, Matt and Beeve. Excited to see my Tigers play this weekend. Word on the street is that they are moving Harold Perkins back outside this week. It was disappointing last week because they basically schemed him out of the game. Looking forward to seeing him get back into game wrecker form before the state game. Hey, and isn't it obvious that they needed to do that, Tyga? I mean, it's one thing to have a player like that who is just a fire-breathing pass rusher and run stopper. Okay, that kind of athlete who, again, if he is locked up one-on-one with a running back or if he's in a certain situation in the line of scrimmage, he's a great run stopper as well because he's so fast. It's one thing to have a handful of plays where he's dropping in coverage. It's another thing when he's doing it all night long. And yeah, again, if you're going to do that, we'll just keep dropping back and we'll put him in coverage and we'll throw it around. We'll see if you got anybody else who can pass rush. So I would think that, and sometimes, Tyga, coaches think themselves and analyze themselves into a corner when you really stick with the basics, right? Like, what's the best pass coverage any defense can do? You know what it is? It's actually not a coverage at all. It's pass rush. The best pass coverage you have is pressuring the quarterback. If I got a guy who can specialize in that, let him do it. Look at Tennessee this year. I'll tell you what Tennessee has done. I think the kid's wearing number 27. It's a 20-something number. I think it's 27. I don't know his name. But Tennessee's got a kid who they're trying to do with him what Alabama did those first few years. They had Will Anderson, who was a first-round pick. I think he's with the Texans now. Will Anderson was an undersized defensive end. He was only, 6'4", but didn't weigh very much. But he was this flashy, really fast athlete. So, sure, you put him in one-on-one against a 300-pound tackle, he's not going to win the push and shove, but he'll go around the tackle, and the tackle will never get a hand on him because he's so quick. And he was just a terror pass rusher. Well, it's like Tennessee's going to copy that because they've got a kid who's undersized, lightning fast. He wears number 27, and they put him on the edge rushing a passer. And teams are going to try to run the ball at him, but use Perkins in a similar way. I know he's a linebacker, but I'm with you. I'm on the same page with that if you're an LSU fan. And let's say it like it is, Tiger. Just like last year, you lose the season opener to Florida State. You come back in week 2, they're hosting Grambling, which is an automatic win. And so for LSU, it is a super-duper spotlight and emphasis on this Mississippi State game, your first SEC game. LSU can't start 1-2 now. You can't do it, right? That's the way they're going to look at it. Just getting started with you. What about Tulane and Ole Miss? We hadn't even talked about it much this week. I got some thoughts on Tulane coming up next. I'm Matt. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new classic grand fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. $625 worth of extra features at no extra charge from Mazda. You get a bed liner, mud guards, sliding rear window, floor mats, and AM/FM stereo. That's a $625 value at no extra charge. But hurry, offer ends soon.
All right, here we go. Your comments coming up on the Murray West live thread on the live stream if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Your texts on the Country Pleasing text line at 885-3776. 601-885-3776. Your phone calls coming up as well. Zach, appreciate you calling a while ago. Real quick, I'm going to throw out an observation. I have not previewed Ole Miss and Tulane this week. I still hadn't seen Ole Miss's game from last week. Just seen the score, which is about all you need to see about that one. And offensively, they were unstoppable in that opener, and you can tell they've loaded up, and they got some depth, certainly on offense. Tulane, a ranked team, ranked in the top 25, hosting Ole Miss in New Orleans at their stadium, which is not huge, but it is an on-campus stadium. It should be a home atmosphere for them. And so what I did is last night and this morning I thought, well, I'm going to go back and watch that game. They played South Alabama last week. South Alabama, Sunbelt team that not a ranked team, but, expected to have a pretty good year. And they're well coached and got some transfers and stuff. Jay Hobson's coaching for them. There's some familiarity there. And, final score, like Tulane beat them pretty decent last week. Was it 34-17 maybe was the final? 34-17. So a 17-point win. And people have said, well, this is Tulane's Super Bowl. They want to hang that SEC skin on the wall. This is their chance to do it with a home game. And maybe all that's true. Maybe all of that's true. I will say that just watching their game and watching it back, I think here they are, a top 25 team ranked. I came away from watching them feeling like they have top 25 skill people. Like their quarterback is really good, I thought. And he got tattooed a couple of times in that ball game last week. He's a right-handed quarterback. One was a free blitzer off the edge, untouched, full speed into his back, and he never saw him. Just got, I'm talking, hammered from the blind side. Ball comes out, fumble, and he was hurting a little bit, but hey, he got back in the game, kept playing well. And then late fourth quarter, he had a run where he came up limping, and he was limping off the field at the end of the game. He seemed tough. But I know this. Man, he really throws a good ball and is accurate. He is really accurate. Great arm. 3 or maybe 4-year starter. I think he started games in 20 or 21, 22. So maybe 3rd year, 4th year starter, whatever it is. But he's been there a while, playing a long time for him. His last name is Pratt. His name's Michael Pratt. I thought, he's really good. He's a top 25 type of quarterback for sure. They got a receiver or two that are really good. A DB or two that you're really impressed with. And they definitely are good and have a clue. But I don't feel like Tulane has top 25 line of scrimmage personnel. They're good. I'm not saying they're bad. They're not bad, obviously. And they've won a ton of games. They won a bunch of games last year. They beat Southern Cal in a bowl game, They were a 12-win team last year. Tulane lost 2 games last season. One was to Southern Miss. The other was to a ranked UCF, who Tulane came back and met in the conference championship game and destroyed them the second time they got a shot at them. So all credit where it's due, but in terms of how they match up with an SEC team, a good one for that matter, on the line of scrimmage, I don't think they have it. And think about this. I felt like looking at Tulane's defense, I felt like they were a little small, maybe in their defensive front seven. Again, they're well coached. They play hard. They don't look like a top 25 line of scrimmage to me. Okay. And then when you pair that with the idea that this Judkins kid for Ole Miss ran for like 60 yards last week and they get him out of the game. You don't have a player like Judkins and frankly paying him as much as they're paying him, okay, and go into a game like this on the road and not ride him, especially after he sort of just had a ho-hum scrimmage the first week and he's fresh and ready to go. And I got him in my SEC line of scrimmage versus them. They got great skill people, but I can beat them without putting the ball around their skill people on defense. I just run it right down their throat and play action off of that. I think what you're going to see is I think you're going to see Ole Miss's offense run the football all they want to in this ball game. And if that's the case, then that creates the play action stuff. I don't really know how Tulane's offense is going to look against Ole Miss's defense, but I know this. Even against South Alabama, I mean, the kid's accurate. He's good. They got a good receiver. The quarterback's accurate. He can throw it now. There's no doubt. But even against South Alabama, they had some protection breakdowns. They had a few times where there's, like I say, a free blitzer that either he or they didn't pick up. He gets hit. They did have a few protection issues. I just think it's going to – I don't think the win for Ole Miss is going to be in the skill areas where they still may have an advantage there overall. I think the real win for Ole Miss is on the line of scrimmage. I think they're going to run it down their throat and create what they want to create, and I think they'll be able to harass the other QB. At least, based on watching Tulane. I haven't seen a lot from Ole Miss. That's just my thoughts on it. What do y'all think? Let me know. All right, your text coming up. Let's go fast. I'm getting behind here. It's my fault. Jeremy texts the show, and he says, Matt, maybe it's just the MSU fan in me, but is this Arizona game setting up like a repeat of that Kansas State series a couple of years ago? We dominate on the road, and the other team improves, and we lose at home. He says, I think their wide receivers are going to cause problems with the quarterback's ability to extend plays. I mean, well, it could be, Jeremy. And like I said, for State, I think it's on their run game. I mean, you go run for 300 your first week out in this new offense, and you've said we're going to build it around a run game. The pass game is designed to create explosive pass plays off the run game. You're even playing a second quarterback in spots because of his running ability. So that's what it comes down to for State is, can you run it? And yes, their offense will have some big plays because they got good receivers and a quarterback who can extend, just like you said. Whether it plays like I'm going to be honest with you though, Jeremy, this team is much better coached, much better conditioned than the one that lost to that Kansas State team at home. And we can all, I'm sure, qualify that. Jason in Flagstaff. Arizona says if State plays like they did last year for 3 quarters, drop passes on third down, have to kick field goals, set of touchdowns, having first and goal on the 2, he says they won't just lose, it'll be ugly. This is Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. He says, likewise, if State plays well, they'll win. Arizona's much better, but still should not be good enough to beat State without help. And, I think I like that sort of evaluation of it because it carries the nuance where it needs to. Now, Nunya texts the show. Has got a real simple request. He said, give us some of the Hail State fight song. All right, then. There it is. Sing along, Nunya. We all hope we get to hear that a lot tomorrow night. Mitchell texts the show. He said, after listening to a few, quote, professionals interviews this week, it sounds like a big part of the game tomorrow against Arizona is keeping Jaden DeLaura contained inside the pocket. Mitchell said Cole Kublik, who I believe is the sideline reporter for the game, said that he studied State's film from the Southeast Louisiana game, and he saw several instances of their QB escaping the pocket. Any thoughts on this being the key for State's defense in having success tomorrow night? Well, yeah, I would say this, Mitchell. Nobody is going, including State, is going to play Arizona and contain that kid in a pocket. Like, completely. Maybe that's not the context or connotation in the statement there. I didn't hear it. But State or anybody else is going to play Arizona and completely contain that guy in a pocket. Like, you're just not going to do it. He's too good of an athlete, and you can't have 5 people playing every gap on the line of scrimmage on every player. They'll beat you down the field too much. There are times when you're going to only need to rush 4. Well, when you do that, sometimes he's going to run out of there. You know, the other thing is that offense designs a lot of things to put him on the move for that very reason. So, you say containing him in the pocket. Now on 3rd and 12, when you're going to drop and you're playing with the chains in your favor, yeah, I mean, if you rush 3 and he runs around out there and does a figure 8 from one side to the other, and eventually somebody gets loose and he hits a 40-yard throw, well, absolutely. I mean, in those situations for sure. But, the entire game, you're not keeping him in the pocket. He's too good of an athlete. So what you've got to do is, whether he's in or out of the pocket, you have to be responsible enough in your rush and in your next level to be around him to affect throws. Like, it's what anybody that's played quarterback. If we're moving around or rolling to our right, and we're right-handed, and there's nobody around us and no pressure, I can throw on the run. I can be accurate. Now, but if I got somebody who's bearing down on me 100 miles an hour and I got to throw over his head, if I got people next to my arm and I got a short arm it, those things will affect the accuracy. You just have to affect the throw. And you got to cover. You got to stay with people. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, to a degree, I mean, certain situations. But if I'm not going into the game expecting to see State or anybody else contain that kid in the pocket. You're not doing it. He's too fast of a player. So, yeah. I love all these comments and questions, but my problem is I don't go fast enough. So I'm going to come back. Your comments, your texts, speed round. Stick around.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is. Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
You know me. Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
Everything's under control. Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh.
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
For your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty Robusto. But not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger Helper. Lasagna.
Helper, Hamburger Helper.
Make a great meal, oh.
All right, here we go. Let's see what we have. Speed round. I got to get caught up. And if you're on the live stream, watching on YouTube or on Facebook, Twitter also, and you put a comment in here, I hadn't completely forgotten. No. I've been going too slow. I got to go quicker. All right. So let's check it out here on the Murray West live thread. Go to murraywest.com. That's MURRY. Contract embroidery and custom apparel. You need anything with your logo on it, that's where you go. No matter how big the order, whether it's your company or your brand or your church or your business or whatever, your ball team, whatever, your school, murraywest.com. Trust me, a great Mississippi company, family owned, they know what they're doing, and it is good. All right. Rich commented on YouTube. He said, I expect Arizona to load the box with 8. Will Rogers has an air raid arm. Can he stretch the field? Can Rogers throw deep? I think Rich is touching on some of the questions right there. I think the state's confident that he is and that he can, and they're going to look for those opportunities. But to get people to bring those 8 in the box more often, they are going to have to be successful running it, especially against a bigger defensive front. Larry commented and said, Bill Norton is huge. I believe that's the guy who transferred into Arizona from Georgia. And I don't know that he played a ton at Georgia. I don't really know. He played about half of their defensive snaps last week, so he got a good number of snaps in the rotation on defensive front. And Larry said Bill Norton is huge. Cole Smith's going to have his hands full. Roshona's right on Facebook on the Murray West live thread. Says, hey, Matt, it won't be long now. That's exactly right. A little over 24 hours. In less than 24 hours, I'll watch Colorado play Nebraska. They kick off at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Let's see. Tony says, who is the fastest player on the Mississippi State Bulldogs roster? Ooh, good question. Who do y'all think it is? I think the freshman Seth Davis would be right in there in the conversation. I think Mike Wright would be in that conversation. And certainly a DeCamerion Richardson, somebody like that on defense would be right there in the conversation for sure. Will's prediction is 27-20 Bulldogs. 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals for State. That is his prediction. Tony Joe is rooting for the Green Wave of Tulane. He says, go Green Wave. Now, he might be a West Point fan, but I think he's talking about I think he's talking about that. Now, here's something to keep in mind also. If I'm looking at this right, since it's the return trip road game of this, home and home with Arizona for Mississippi State, that tomorrow night's game in Starkville is going to have Pac-12 referees. Rich is pointing out on the YouTube channel, he says Pac-12 refs are the worst on the planet. He says, I was a football official in California for 15 years. And he says that Pac-12s are the worst on the planet. So I get, if that's the case, let's just be ready for anything. It's going to be a long trip for him, right? Joseph commented on Facebook on the Murray West live thread, says, Matt, I hope Tulane beats Ole Miss Baby Sharks. There you go. Hey, speaking of officials, back on that. When I was watching the Tulane and South Alabama game from last week, you know who the head referee was, the crew chief of that officiating crew, and I guess it would have been a Sun Belt crew? It's a guy from Starkville named Kevin Randall. Y'all remember Kevin? Played quarterback at Starkville High School back in the 90s. And, great family, great folks there in Starkville. And, yeah, he's officiating college football. He was the head referee for the Tulane and South Alabama game last week. I noticed. I recognized him, actually. I was like, I think I know that guy. Looked it up. On the officials, the Pac-12 stuff, Larry commented on the Murray West live thread and said, we had Pac-12 refs for the Outback Bowl in 2019. State had 15 penalties and Iowa had 0. And says, but they were still better than SEC refs. Got it. Yeah, and State's going to get Xavion back on the field, Xavion Thomas, punt returner, kick returner, receiver. This week. They expect to get him back this week, so maybe that's a big thing also. All right, Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. Unnamed texter says, Matt, you are absolutely correct about our offense. He's talking about State. He said, our coaches know what right can do, but we're not going to show all of our cards in the first 2 games of the season. We will save some plays for LSU, I'm sure. He says, I also think Arizona will give us a better game this year. Can't thank you enough for the film studies. He says, I'm single, have some free time each week, and as a lifelong MSU fan, I love to watch you break down the film. Well, I appreciate that very much. And we loaded it up this week on the YouTube channel, and we'll do it again next week also. Yeah, and, I remember back ever how many weeks ago in the preseason, I did a quick phone interview on the Chuck Oliver Show, who you guys, if you're in the Jackson area, you listen live in the day, the middle of the day, mornings just before noon, you hear the Chuck Oliver Show. And I mentioned to him that even with this new offense, there would be an element of the first week in particular, early in the year, you wouldn't see a lot of that offense and a lot of what it could be or what they might do later in the year and some of the schemes and formations. And he kind of checked me on it. He didn't think that. He was like, oh, no, he said, I don't agree with, you're not in a situation on that team, that offense, where you can be holding anything back. And I thought, well, okay, but they will. And you didn't. You saw a very vanilla offensive approach in that first week, just in terms of the variation of formations and motions and schemes. And a lot of that's because you're trying to figure out who your personnel is definitely going to be going forward. But you'll see some different stuff and different variations going forward, and that's just the nature of it. What else we got? Colby from Vicksburg texts and says, why did Tulane ever leave the SEC? I wonder what it would be like if they would have stayed. Yeah, I don't know why they left. Y'all have to go, Google that. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it was. Somebody said if South Alabama was able to get to the Tulane quarterback, surely the Ole Miss defense will be able to pressure him. And I think they will. They asked one game and they You know, they say that most teams improve a lot from week 1 to week 2. And that's a 12-win team from a year ago. It's not like they don't know what they're doing, but they didn't handle some, you know, different odd fronts and some pressure looks on the edge and stuff very well against South Alabama at times. And he, you know, to his credit, quarterback, you know, when he's clean, he's really good and really accurate. But he was pretty accurate even when they were getting around him some. And they hit him and kind of banged him up. He's a tough kid now. You could watch one game and tell that. A real unnamed texter said it was reported that Tulane's leading tackler is out. And I wonder what position that would be. We're talking linebacker or safety or whatever it is. But, yeah, so Judkins had a couple of touchdown runs last week, but it wasn't like, you know, he had a game where he really went off. I think he listed him as 13 carries and 60 yards, which is a, you know, decent day, 2 touchdowns. And they could score however they wanted to in that game. It appeared. But I would just think, I mean, again, I don't know that much about the Ole Miss offensive line. I just know they're an SEC one. And, you know, I watch Tulane and I go, you know, if you're an SEC team and you're in the top 25, you're probably watching that film thinking we ought to be able to run the ball some. And with that running back, and you didn't really have to ride him last week, I imagine they'll ride him this week. And I bet he wants them to. Patches O'Houlihan texted the show and said neither team in Louisiana is going to have the success this year as they did last year. He's picking Ole Miss by 17 in this game. Denzel texts the show. Says tackling in open space is going to be a factor tomorrow night. Talking about State. Yeah. Lots of open field missed tackles last week. Do that this week, and that could spell trouble for Arizona. You know, Denzel, I don't know that I would say that there was a lot of them last week for State, but they did have some. And they had, you know, one in particular on that 3rd and 20 where they threw a screen pass and converted it. And that was the safety Preston who missed. He had a clean shot at him. You know, we kind of credited Deshaun Page for having a missed tackle on that play too, but when you go back and watch it, he was having to go around the referee who was kind of standing there hoping he didn't get knocked down because the ball carrier's coming right at him. He tried to go around him. That hurt his chances. But, yeah, I mean, there were some. I wouldn't say that they had a rash of them, though. But they did have some, yeah. And to your point, I mean, it is a thing where if you miss them out in the open field. So for State, you know, some of these edge defenders, even at the next level, not necessarily Bookie Watson or a Jet Johnson who plays in the line of scrimmage or coming off one edge, but the other guy, you know, Deshaun Page out there. Banks, a safety who's going to be up there and run support and chasing a quarterback some. You're right. Those guys are going to have to make sure tackles. Ronnie says State by 10. Real unnamed texter said he thought it was a linebacker. I think I saw that in the highlights of and going back and watching Tulane last week, maybe a right leg injury. He tried to get off the field and couldn't get off. And I know it was a defender who had been in on a bunch of plays prior to that, so that maybe that's him. And again, that hurts Tulane's chances for sure. And if the quarterback's still limping around, that's the other thing, because he's going to get hit some in the game, right? All right, hour 2 coming up. Predictions, picks, all of that and more. Stick around.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are they going to do?
Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, Stum. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court. Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look. not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl, gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling show through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke adds life. Everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke adds life. Everybody wants.
Come on, Harry, come on. We're getting our picture taken.
Special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember. In pictures.
Smile, Howard. Smile.
To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life.
See, wasn't that fun?
Come and get it. Come and get it.
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes. Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the Raisin Bran. Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies. And there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal, fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack, untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with them. Each individual box comes to you F.O.D., fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the big rich one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you. So they're delicious and nutritious.
The whole grain wheat really packs a crunch, but the delicious taste gives it just the right punch.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was, their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." Well, it might do some good, said the wife with a sigh.
Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try. Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran, a delicious, non-habit-forming 8.
Here we go. Hour 2 of the show, off and running with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team, text me, call, or comment. Text me, call, or comment. You can drop a comment on the Murray West Live thread over here. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, type in a comment, hit submit, post, whatever it is. Pops up right there on the same thread. Text the show on the Country Pleasing text line. Call me on the Davini phone. I'll give you those numbers also coming up. It's a free-for-all Friday here in the Bureau, Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Your local hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau insurance agents, available to you in all 82 counties here in the great state of Mississippi. And I got hot coffee for hour 2. I'm ready to go. And I hope you are also. Now, listen, I understand that it's Friday and that we have gotten to this point, and you're like, Matt, you hadn't picked any games. You haven't predicted any games. And I know that some have thought that because I get a text every now and then that says, hey, what's your pick for this one? Well, and I guess if I'd been harping on it all week, you wouldn't have to ask, would you? But I'm not big on it. I feel like I want to watch a lot of these teams play more than one game before I can, really feel confident about some of these picks. But it is just for fun, right? And we're going on the info that we have. And when we get more info, we might change on it. And that's just the way life is. And so I appreciate you for sending them in also. For example, on the Murray West Live thread, on the live stream over here, by the way, go to murraywest.com. If you need embroidery, shirts, hats, anything, if you need anything with your logo, your company logo, printed on it, embroidered on it, go to Murray West, a great Mississippi company. They'll get it done. It'll be done right. It'll be good stuff, and it'll last. Just go to murraywest.com. That's MURRY. Swamp Dog commented and said, prediction. State up by 3 at half, run away in the second half, 38-14. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Most of the predictions and picks that I have seen y'all come through with for the state game have been in that range. 35-17, 38-14. Sven says 45-17. That's what he said earlier. Now, Tiger Tank Sam commented on the live thread. And he says, what's your prediction for Texas at Alabama? And I know it was a 1-point game last year. But I could easily see Alabama winning the game, not a 1-point deal. I could easily see Alabama winning that game 10 points, 13 points. Yeah, something like that. If I saw a 28-14 game, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I think this Alabama team may be overall a little better. I don't know that Texas is, but I know they're playing in Tuscaloosa. Sven thinks that Bama will make a statement and blow out Texas 38-21. That'd be a 17-point win. Here's that same kind of score from J-Rock. He's looking at the Mississippi State and Arizona game. He wants State 31-28. All right, so a little closer there. A 3-point game. Bulldog 44 texts the show on the Country Pleasing text line. Number to text, 885-3776. It's a 601 number. 885-3776. Another way to remember it is 885-ESPN. He texted the show and said, open field tackling isn't a state issue. It's an issue at all levels now, in my belief, due to rules changes and safety emphasis. Players are taught tackling to avoid penalties, which changes how they practice. And it changes how they learn tackling, so it carries over into games. And, yeah, I mean, some of that's true. You know, just like, for example, Bulldog 44, 20 years ago, if you're running to your right and there's a ball carrier tracking up the sideline, you'd go over there and what? You're going to put your head in front. Like if he's going this way, left or right, you're going to put your head in front and wrap up. And that's the way it was taught. And now to take the head out of it, they're teaching a different technique, that deal where you actually go in with your upfield shoulder and the head goes behind. So you're kind of taking your head out of it, but then the wrap up happens and you roll. So you wrap up and roll. And sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't, I guess. But that is the emphasis, to take the head out of the tackling process. And so naturally you would think that would affect some of it. All right, so let's do this. Let's flip around some of the games that are going to happen tomorrow. I'll tell you what I think. You let me know what you think, and we'll just approach it that way. Also, call me. That way I get to hear your voice. On the Divinity phone, the number to call, 995-1059. Got it? 995-1059. Call me. So Ball State at Georgia, I mean, we know how that's going to go. Georgia will blow the doors off at some point. It's an 11 a.m. game tomorrow on the SEC Network. Kentucky hosts Eastern Kentucky at 2 tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, that Kentucky will win it. I mean, it should be going away. Stranger things have happened. Sometimes in week 2, you get some weird ones. Devin Leary, the quarterback who transferred from NC State to Kentucky last week, threw for 241 yards, a score, and an interception. Nothing really to write home about, but Davis, a running back, had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay, so we mentioned Ole Miss Tulane. I don't think Tulane matches up with really any of these decent SEC teams on the line of scrimmage. They've got good skill people. They do. Tulane does. I mean, their quarterback's really good. They know how to win. I mean, again, their last couple of games, they were a 12-win team. Their last couple of games last year, they blew the doors off UCF in the rematch and then went and beat USC, Southern Cal in the bowl game, in the Cotton Bowl. Beat them. It's a good football team, but I'm just saying I watched them last week, or went back and watched last week, their game against South Alabama, and they just don't look in the trenches on the line of scrimmage. They don't look huge on defense. And so, on the line of scrimmage. So I think Ole Miss is going to be able to run the ball on them. And, for Tulane to win it, it would have to be one of those, what I'm saying, like 55-51 games where for some reason Ole Miss can't stop them, but I don't feel like they're going to stop Ole Miss in this one. So if you ask me to predict it, I like Ole Miss by a lot. I like Arkansas over Kent State a lot. I think everybody does. Pretty obvious there. Tennessee plays Austin Peay at 4 p.m. That's the ESPN Plus if you want to watch it online. We mentioned Alabama, Texas a minute ago. I don't know if I put a specific number on it, but maybe, I could easily see a 10-point, maybe 13-point win for Alabama in the game. I could easily see that. 28-14, something like that. 31-21, I could easily see that. The offenses get going. Give me Alabama by 10. That's what I like. Missouri hosts that Middle Tennessee team that Alabama whipped up on last week, and Missouri will have no trouble. LSU and Grambling, same thing. It's a fun game, though. That's a really fun deal, right? LSU and Grambling there in Baton Rouge. Florida hosts McNeese. You would expect Florida to exercise a few demons after playing 10 days ago and losing to Utah on a Thursday night. We kind of covered the Mississippi State-Arizona deal. If you were asking me, Matt, State plays pretty well and wins it, what do you think the score is going to be? And I would go somewhere in that 28-13. If State plays well, 28-13, 28-17. I like it around in there. Does either team get up in the 30s like they did last year? I have a tendency right now, I've noticed coming into the year when I look at these games, to want to pick lower scores than what you would have in recent history because everybody's playing fewer offensive possessions with this new rule. It's just shortening the game, so they're not getting the ball as much. South Carolina hosts Furman. That's 6:30 tomorrow night on the Plus. Auburn at Cal. Late kickoff tomorrow night, 9:30 on ESPN. Auburn at Cal. Long trip for Auburn. But you would think Auburn would win that game, right? Vandy goes to Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest most likely wins that one. They're going to start that one really early, 10 a.m. Central Time. It'll be on the ACC network. Wake Forest wins that one probably, 28-10 maybe? And then Texas A&M, this is 2:30 on ABC, Texas A&M at Miami. And I don't know. There's a lot of disrespect. There's a lot of disrespect, or it seems like there is anyway, for Miami out there. I don't know a ton about their team. I know they've been better here in recent years, and they always seem to have their issues. And I guess they get jokes made about them because of the lack of fan support down there in Miami. But, yeah, I don't really know how to predict that game. I really don't. Because, one, it's Miami. Two, it's A&M. I have no feel for that game whatsoever. That's just being honest with you. Now, Will on the Murray West Live thread, he's watching on YouTube, and he said that Cal game has upset written all over it. Cal at home, West Coast trip for Auburn. I guess we can see that happening for sure. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Florida State's really good. They're hosting Southern Miss. This is a classic deal of you come back down to earth if you're Florida State. They're not going to be as up as they were for LSU, even though they're at home. You've spent all this time, everybody patting you on the back, telling you how great you are and everything, and generally that leads to a little flatness. Maybe we're wrong a little bit, but it's a kind of a Super Bowl type game for Southern Miss. They will play well. Southern Miss is coached well by Will Hall, but you don't have the horses to go in there and win the game. But I think it will be, for a little while anyway, I think that game will be a little more competitive than people think it will. Put it that way. Hard to pick a score. Florida State's going to win it. Here's some top 25s for you. Ohio State versus Youngstown. It's like, name the score. Even though Ohio State didn't really go off on offense last week, did they? Still trying to figure out the QB. Any others interest you? Let's see. Notre Dame, they are 10th ranked. They go to NC State. You never know. I don't know. It could be interesting. You never know. 12th ranked Utah at Baylor. Something to watch there. It's 11 o'clock on ESPN, and former Mississippi State quarterback Sawyer Robertson is going to start for Baylor in that one. Kansas State hosting Troy. That's one, too, that it wouldn't – Kansas State's a really good team and program, and they're at home. You don't expect Troy to go win it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Troy is more competitive in that one than some people think. ESPN here, it shows that they're Kansas State minus 16.5, so take that for what it's worth. Colorado and Nebraska. Colorado goes and beats TCU. TCU's defense just didn't look that great, but Colorado's offense did. You beat TCU. They jump them up in the rankings. All the talk this week about Colorado. You go back home, have your home opener. Now they're going to host Nebraska, who played a low-scoring, close game, lost to Minnesota in week 1. What do you think? Should Colorado be on upset alert this week? 11 a.m. tomorrow on Fox. Clemson, in a walk. North Carolina's hosting App State from the Sun Belt. That's, I don't know. Look, that's one that, North Carolina's pretty good, and they look good in that win over South Carolina, but stranger things have happened, haven't they? Than App State going somewhere early in the year and either beating somebody or pushing them to the brink. Look at this. Look what just happened in here. I got to check in with Beaver real quick. Hey, B.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
The homecoming queen doesn't have time to be on the show, but she just walked in here and handed me one of these tasty little treats from the bakery. That's the brick of cornflakes and peanut butter again. Remember that?
Yes.
And
cornflakes and peanut butter.
But yeah, I don't know what we call that. I don't know what to call it. It's just that's what it is: cornflakes and peanut butter. And
wait, no, I don't remember that because I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Rice Krispie treats made with peanut butter. I don't know if I've ever seen the cornflakes.
Yeah, this is that's what this is. It's like cornflakes in this whatever the mortar is that holds this brick of cornflakes together is a peanut butter substance. Okay. And it's in a little cupcake. What do you call that? Deal. And it's still warm and hot. Like she just got this from the bakery and brought it in here. It's still warm. Like it's fresh. And I know it's not hot enough outside, so she's really thinking about me. So here's probably what's going to happen, Beaver. During the commercial break, I'm going to start eating that. And then the next segment, I'm going to be wide awake. But by the last segment of this hour, I'll be really sleepy. I'll be coming down from the sugar rush. Yeah, I think
so this could go south quickly.
It could.
What you're saying to me.
It could. But look, it's Friday, right?
So okay, wait a minute. Oh, I'm so sorry, Matt. Why did I keep jumping in here?
No, jump. No.
You're blowing my mind with this cornflake peanut butter concoction. So we'll see in the next, let's see, we have 36 minutes left here. So in the next 36 minutes, we could be adding another version of Matt Wyatt to the, we've established there's several versions.
Yeah.
Sleepy Matt. What is Sleepy Matt like?
Oh, yeah, Sleepy Matt. I cover it up really well. I do. I cover it up. You can't tell that I'm really sleepy unless you look closely deep into my eyes. Yeah, and Terry Fant from Hickory Ridge is going to be on the show like at the very end. And I usually perk up whenever Terry's around. Terry's one of those guys who he's always so perky and full of energy, it's hard to be sleepy around him. Yeah, so he'll be by later. Now, Swamp Dog comments and says that it's a syrup and peanut butter mix that forms like this grout almost. That this tasty glue that holds the cornflakes together. I'm going to eat the whole thing. All right, back over to the text line. The country pleasing text line, 885-3776. 601 number. Text the show right there, 885-3776. Patches O'Houlihan has texted the show and says, Matt, breaking news. Tuscaloosa Walmart will be closed tomorrow and for all Tide home games this year. I'm picking up what you're putting down there, Patches. Dennis, formerly of Omaha, texts the show and says, speaking of the rule change that lets the clock run on the first down, do you know what brought that about? Asking for a friend. Well, I think what brought it about is just the games were going too long. That's what I thought. And sort of this, everything kind of gravitating towards, let's look at how the NFL does this and let's look at how the NFL does that. Well, the NFL sort of has this knack for, the games start and they're going to end on almost as if you put it on a timer. They don't get a ton of these over games. And it sort of protects the product, protects the TV product and all that kind of stuff. And, fans tune in. So I think the long, drawn-out 4-hour games, they're trying to get rid of that. All right, over to the phone line, Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. Andre calling on line 1. What's up, Andre?
What's going on, Matt?
Good to hear from you.
Hey, first I got to start off with congratulations to the Colin Wolves last night. I got kids go to Colin.
Yeah.
They knocked off the defending champion East Mississippi. So
Yep.
I got to give a shout out to Colin.
I'm glad you did that
Before we started
too,
out.
because Colin's head coach Glenn Davis, who I think a lot of, that was his 100th career win down there as the head coach
Yes,
at
sir.
Colin also. So that was really cool for him.
Oh, yeah, and didn't nobody really give him a chance to win, so I got to shout them out today.
Yeah, that's great.
We going to start with this SEC, these games.
Okay.
Do you see the state of Texas making a statement this weekend? Was Texas A&M going to Miami and Texas playing Alabama? Do you see either of those teams making a statement?
No, I don't really see it. Like, just to me, tell me what you think, Andre, but what I think is, if A&M goes down there and let's say they beat Miami and just beat them, let's just say it's 28-21 or 24-21 or something like that. Well, I still wouldn't call that necessarily a statement. And I just don't expect Texas to go to Tuscaloosa and win. What about you?
To be honest with you, I don't see either of those teams winning. I never buy into Texas A&M because they do the same thing every year. And as far as Texas, I'm not buying it either. I think Alabama beat them by 2 scores. It's revenge.
Yeah.
I think they tired of hearing about Texas. Got them circled on the schedule. So I think Alabama make a statement on them this weekend.
I'm with you, Andre. Hey, good call. It's good to hear from you. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too. And tip of the cap to Colin, Coach Glenn Davis, knocking off East Mississippi last night. He got his 100th win. Back with you next in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. More texts, more comments. Stay with me.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product, even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son,
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
of love
He means the world to me.
and desire,
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
a champion
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
and his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as read. The Natural.
Do you know me? Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger helper. Lasagna.
Helper, hamburger helper.
Make a great meal, oh.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau. The Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. Fletcher texted the show a minute ago, and he said that he's been listening to the Colorado coaches and players, and they seem to have beef with Nebraska over something. He said they're out to make a statement against Nebraska. He says, I believe in Colorado. We'll find out. Less than 24 hours, 11 a.m. tomorrow on Fox. Are they going to send Gus Johnson to back-to-back Colorado games? Nunya texts the show. He's talking about the games being shortened because of the new clock rule. He said network airtime. You got to get the commercials in. Yeah, and that's the thing, though. I mean, the longer the games, the easier it is to get the commercials in. But with the new first down rule, before you get to the last 2 minutes of the half, meaning, okay, you get a first down, the clock just keeps going until you get inside the last 2 minutes of the half, right? Well, I don't know how that actually helps them to get the commercials in, but that's been some of the complaint is that they're still getting them in. I mean, in a shorter amount of time. I don't know. What are you going to do about it? Now, Larry asked a question here on the Murray West live thread. He's watching the live stream on YouTube. He says, Matt, do you win the 99 Auburn game with the new clock rule? Good question. I mean, straight looking at the way that game went down, we scored 15 points, right? Yeah, which included a safety that they gave us, right? After the first touchdown. So we scored 2 touchdowns in the final, really, 2.5 minutes of the game? So most of what happened in that particular game, because the comeback, the going up and down the field and getting possessions was so late in the game that it would have been most of it in the last 2 minutes of the half, which would have been the same clock rules. You see what I'm saying? The deal is, though, how much different would the game have been overall? And you wouldn't have been getting, with the clock rule, you wouldn't have been getting the ball with that much time on the clock. So it's almost impossible for me to think about it. Swamp Dog comments, says, Matt, thoughts on 2-back sets with Woody and Mike Wright? Yeah, you mean, wait a minute. Okay, Swamp Dog, are you saying when you say a two-back set with Woody Marks and Mike Wright, are you saying they are the two backs and Will is the quarterback? So like lining up Wright where he could either get a pitch, a handoff, a toss, or just shift at the last minute, take the snap. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm up for anything that gets Mike Wright involved in your run game. I mean, in a clever way that doesn't necessarily like sacrifice the offense's ability to be able to throw it and stuff. I'm all for it. All right, text the show. The number to text, 885-3776. 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059. Got a little bit of time left. Hey, high school football tonight around the state of Mississippi. I guess, shoot, I could get in machine gun mode and try to do all the games, but I'm not. I'll pick some around here. If you're listening live sort of in the metro, let me see what we've got. You've got Brookhaven at Pearl. Pearl's 2-0, and so is Brookhaven. They're both 2-0. That Pearl and Warren Central game last week was a barn burner, man. That was something else. Overtime game. Pearl wins it in overtime. And it wasn't a lack of execution for one team or the other. Warren Central scored on the possession in overtime, kicks an extra point. Pearl scores, goes for 2, gets it, wins by 1. And it was a heck of a game. So Pearl's 2-0. Brookhaven's 2-0. That's tonight at Pearl. Clinton at Brandon. Somebody's going to get some relief. What is it that Jerry Clower said? Shoot up in here amongst us. One of us got to have some relief. Well, Clinton's 0-2, and so is Brandon. And so tonight at Brandon, somebody will get some relief. Either Clinton, either the Arrows, or the Bulldogs. One or the other. Collins goes to Mount Olive. Tonight you have... Scrolling. You got Germantown going to Warren Central. And as I mentioned, okay, so Warren Central's 1-1. They beat Clinton the first week. Overtime loss last week at Pearl. Germantown's 1-1. So somebody's getting their second win tonight. They're in Warren County over there on Highway 27. That'd be a good one. You're going to get... Who else? Let's see. Leake Central is at Morton. Both those teams are 1-1. That's at Morton tonight. Florence 2-0 is hosting McGee, who's still looking for their first win. So that's an 0-2 McGee at Florence, who is 2-0. McLaurin at Richland. Both teams 1-1. Another situation where somebody's getting their second win. Ridgeland will host North Pike. Ridgeland's 0-2. North Pike's 1-1. That's at Ridgeland tonight. That's a little farther away, but this is a good one. Oak Grove at Hattiesburg, rivalry game. Let's see. Oak Grove at Hattiesburg. Oak Grove's really good, loaded with talent. They're 2-0. Northwest Rankin's also 2-0. They're hosting Ocean Springs tonight. So with the shakeup of the map in the MHSAA, you got Ocean Springs playing a bunch of games up here. What they opened up 2 weeks ago at Madison Central, and tonight they come back and go play Northwest Rankin. Ocean Springs 1-1 on the road at Northwest Rankin, who is 2-0. Canton is hosting Provine. Canton 0-2, Provine 1-1. You have... Hey, by the way, did y'all see? They played... Now, this is according to Twitter. Okay, I didn't see it. I just read it from what is normally a source on Twitter. It's X now. Roosevelt played at Shaw over in the Delta last night. They called the game at halftime because, they called the game at halftime with Roosevelt winning 24-0. Called the game at halftime, and immediately after the game, the school district fired the entire Shaw coaching staff after the game last night because of some fight that happened on the sideline within the team. Now, I don't know anything else, like details of the fight. I don't know if it was players fighting. I don't know if it was coaches fighting or what. But I know that according to that report that I saw, Rosa Fort was up 24-0 at halftime last night. They called a game. It's over. Rosa Fort wins. And immediately after, the school district fired every football coach they've got at Shaw. All of them. Because of something that happened during the game last night. Yeah. So if you know some details, feel free to pass that along. Leake County's 0-2. They're hosting Scott Central, who's 2-0. Meridian hosts Starkville tonight. Meridian's 1-1. Starkville is 2-0. Starkville's also loaded. Great skill people, including an excellent quarterback. Who else? What am I looking for? Who else around here is playing ball? Let's look at the MAIS. So private schools, they're a week or two ahead, depending on who you're talking about here. Brookhaven Academy is at Adams Christian. Brookhaven Academy is still looking for their first win. Central Hines is 3-0, hosting Bowling Green, Louisiana, who's 2-2. They've played a bunch of games. Let's see. Who else? JA, 4-0, hosting Prep, 3-0. Big game. JA, 4-0, Prep, 3-0. Somebody's going to remain undefeated, and somebody ain't going to remain undefeated. MRA, 3-1, hosting Madison St. Joe. They are 2-1. That's tonight. And am I missing one? PCS is at Hartfield. All right, so PCS is 2-1. They're on the road at Hartfield, who's 4-0. And Hartfield, as we know, we go back a couple of weeks ago, got the good news that the postseason ban had been lifted and they are good to go. So they got a lot to play for. They got a really good football team. Yeah, so there you go. All right, so just looking around the state. And listen, man, like we talked about, this was, you know, it gets hot. We've been through a heat wave in the summer when we'll open a Friday show during football season. The first thing anybody wants to talk about is weather. But I digress. It is really nice, and it's going to be nice. I mentioned, in the northern part of the state, North Mississippi, of course, similar where you are in the Jackson Metro, but we're 83 degrees right now, this very minute in North Mississippi, and the low is 65. So, like, if you go to that ball game at State tomorrow night, it's going to be in the 70s or close to it at kickoff, and it's going to be downright cool when you walk out of there tomorrow night to go home. Never heard of such in all my life the first 2 weekends in September. What's going on? You can call it something, but don't call it warming, okay? Don't use that word, because it does not apply. All right, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. We'll wrap the week up the right way next with my friend Terry Fant, pastor at Hickory Ridge Baptist Church in Florence. Bible questions coming up. Stick around.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is. Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
And someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son,
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
of love
He means the world to me.
and desire,
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
a champion
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
and his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
You know me. Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, Stone, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian.
You're going to hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now. On the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Hi, back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, we are basically here. We are basically into the weekend. In just a little while, we're going to have high school football all around the great state of Mississippi here. And then we'll go to bed, rest, and we'll wake up tomorrow. And it'll be game day for your favorite college football team. So in terms of the previewing, it's in the books. The hay is in the barn. The hay is in the barn. And when you're driving around to and fro, you may be on the road right now, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. Sun setting, sun rising, stars in the sky, all of that. Real quick, let me bring in my friend Terry Fant from Hickory Ridge Baptist Church in Florence, who's with us. We're going to have Bible questions. Hey, Terry, happy Friday, man.
Happy Friday, Matt. You're right. The hay's in the barn, man.
It is. It's time.
Go time.
It is. It's go time. It's time to play ball. Last night, speaking of people driving around going to football games, Terry, last night we were in the car as a family, and we were headed west, and the sun was setting right in our eyes, and it was really beautiful, but we were squinting, and Mary Liddy said something along the lines of, she said, you know, you look at the sun, it's just, you can't even, she said, I can't even just wrap my head around just how big it is. And then we got to talking about how, you know, yeah, but it's perfect. If the sun were any farther away or any closer, we'd be in big trouble, but it's just the right distance. And then this morning, on the way to school this morning, she was remembering it. And she said, Daddy, you know, if the sun was like if you think of it like a watermelon, the earth would be like a pea and compared to the watermelon. That's the difference. And she goes, and what I can't wrap my head around is how God is bigger than all of that. And so we're having this discussion on the way to school, and I said, yeah, and think about this. I said, you know, Jesus told Nicodemus, God is spirit. And he's looking for people to worship him in spirit and in truth. And I said, what that means, if he's spirit, what that means is there's no sort of like measure of size that can contain him. Even saying he's big doesn't even really describe it. So, I mean, I thought it was really cute that here we were, daddy and daughter, and just looking at the sun and thinking about the earth and outer space and having these conversations about God. So, Terry, I thought I would ask you, when we have these discussions, we try to kind of grasp this idea of the magnitude of God. Where can we go in the Bible and read about it, and what does it say about it? Where can we go?
Oh, man. First of all, it is awesome to see Mary Liddy. What's happening is her understanding is broadening.
Yeah.
So the things that when she was 2 and 3 years old that she thought was big, she's learning. The more she learns, there are things bigger than what she thought was big.
Right.
And now she's starting to kind of begin to grasp the magnitude of God. And so in the Scripture, there'd be several places, obviously. One you had referenced earlier, Isaiah 66, where the Scripture says, verses 1 and 2, thus says the Lord, heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. Where's the house that you're going to build me? Mm-hmm. And where's the place of my rest? Speaking about he's so big, that speaks to the bigness and the magnitude. What are you going to do? Build a church house and call it his house? Contain him in it.
Right.
And then another verse that comes to my mind is Psalm 145:3, and it says, "Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and His greatness is unsearchable."
Unsearchable, which
unsearchable.
Hey, and for those of us that are alive in 2023. It actually carries a whole different meaning for us, isn't it, to think that something is unsearchable, because we search things all the time on Google. You know what I mean?
Man, yeah, all we got to do is Google it, right?
Right.
Hey, and I'm just going to say this, Matt. He wouldn't be a great God if we could just Google him.
That's it. That's it. Well, and I'll be honest with you, Terry, when I was talking to Mary Liddy this morning, and so I was kind of quoting there what Jesus said to Nicodemus, where he said, God is spirit. And so therefore it sort of hit me, even in what I consider my mature mind, maybe compared to hers, right? But it hit me to think, okay, but there is no measurement. There's no such thing as even saying, okay, well, he's big and compared to. It's not it. It's I can't even comprehend a God that is quite literally everywhere at the same time, all the time. And my brain is not capable of really understanding that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Everything that you and I have ever laid our eyes on, we can measure it and we can place it.
Right.
We know how big it is and we know where it is. Except that God is unmeasurable, and like you said, He's everywhere, not just geographically, but in the aspect of time. He right now is in the past, right now is in the present, and right now is in the future. Now figure that out. How big is that? How do you put a measure on that?
I can't even figure that out if I had a DeLorean, that would go 88 miles an hour.
Exactly.
I can't even. Exactly. Terry,
that flux capacitor couldn't help a thing with understanding that.
My capacitor ain't got enough flux in it, to understand it. Terry Fant on your radio right now, pastor at Hickory Ridge. Okay, so here's one, Psalms 8, chapter 8, verse 4. David said, "What is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him?" And it's a question. Interpret that for me, Terry.
Well, just in light of what you're saying, the magnitude of God. So compared to God, what is man?
Yeah.
And why in the world would God, who breathed galaxies into being, I always say I'm a Big Bang Theory guy. And the Big Bang is the Big Bang of God's voice. He said, let there be, and then there was. Mm-hmm. And he says, comparison to that, David said, compared to galaxies and creation, all of this, why would God, what is man in your mind that you think about him all the time? And then he adds to that, and the Son of Man, that you would come visit him.
Right.
That you'd think about him and want relationship with him, to hang out with him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I get so sick of fooling with me sometimes, Matt. I went out to my truck 3 times yesterday, left my office, and forgot my keys 3 times in a row. And I came back in one time, and I said, everybody here in the office, they laugh at me. I get sick of fooling with me. I said, but God never gets sick of fooling me. He and I don't get it, because I wish I could disassociate with myself sometimes.
Right.
But this unsearchable, unmeasurable God wants relationship with me and you, and He mindful, meaning that He thinks about us all the time.
All the time.
Man.
Yeah, there's so, like you say, okay, magnitude, greatness, that we even try to find words that sort of let us grasp it a little bit, but the words and stuff still aren't really big enough. So Job 38, 4, 5, and 6, particularly verse 4, Job chapter 38, where it said, God said, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have an understanding. Like, what's the tone and the way he's speaking to Job right there?
Well, Job's had a little bit of he always had a lot. He's had some major stuff happen in his life, right?
Yep.
And he's questioning all of it. He's lost hope, and he's lost sight of who God is. And we do that, don't we, when we suffer?
Yep.
And we lose sight of the fact that, suffering's part of a fallen world and fallen people. And God says to him, now hang on. In the middle of how it's kind of like I had to talk to my children sometimes. And you got to remember who you're talking to. I have to tell my kids that sometimes. And God's saying, hey, wait a minute. Where were you at when I laid the very foundations of the earth, where it would sit in the cosmos?
Yeah.
And if you understand how I hung it and made it sit there on the right axis and the right degrees away from the sun and the right rotation and the right mix of atmosphere that you could live, if you can understand how I did all that, come talk to me. He says, tell me about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Feel free. I'm all ears. Explain it to me. It's basically.
Yeah. Man, he goes on for like 3 chapters, saying, well, what about this? Or how does this? And he lays it on real strong with Job as a reminder that here's the bottom line, what he's saying to him: don't forget how big I am in the midst of your struggle. I'm still in control, and I'm still mindful of you.
Right. Well, and Jesus touched on that in one of the Gospels too, right? When he said, with man it is impossible, but with God, what did he say? He either said nothing is impossible, or he said all things are possible. One or the other. I can't remember.
Yes. Absolutely. And don't we need to be reminded sometimes,
right,
that God is so, I know there are people listening right now. We've all got little things that we're going through, some bigger than others. And isn't it a great reminder on a Friday that all this football ahead of us, and boy, I'm fired up about it. But in the midst of life, here's the good news. There's a great, big God, and that's because we don't have any other words to say.
That's it. Yep.
Who is mindful of us, and with him, nothing's impossible.
Right.
Wow.
And
that changes perspective on things.
And is not only capable of having a one-on-one relationship with you, but wants to. And that's like you said a minute ago. It's mind-blowing. Can't even. I'm more tired of me than he is.
If everything was at your disposal, would you choose me and you?
Yeah. Well,
heavens no, but he does.
But he does. Yeah. That's really true. Well, amen. We just had a small worship service right here at the end of the radio show. Terry, I really do appreciate it, man. I'll tell them about your podcast, and thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Matt. The Lord bless you and your family.
Thank you. Lord bless you too. That's Terry Fant, pastor at Hickory Ridge Baptist Church in Florence. He's got a great podcast. If you're out jogging, walking, driving, check it out. It's called Truth for Today with Terry Fant. Y'all can look those up. Psalms 145, Psalm 8, and Isaiah 66. A good way to go into the weekend right there. That'll wrap it up for today. All of us here on the show, in the Bureau. I'm Matt for Beaver. All of us here, we're going to see you on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. See you then.